Welcome, Spartans, to Mission Debrief. We're playing every mission of the mainline Halo video game series in chronological order, discussing our experiences and sprinkling in a little lore along the way. If you'd like to play along and have your thoughts read on the show, email us at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. We'll be playing the Two Betrayals mission from Halo Combat Evolved on the next episode. This episode, we're debriefing The Library from Halo Combat Evolved. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, alongside David Arnold.
Hello, everybody.
And Krista Brown.
Hate is usually a strong word, but in this instance, I mean, come on.
Oh boy, lots of hate going to be spat tonight.
We're just going to shit on this mission. It's going to be bad.
Last mission, we discovered the Flood via Private Jenkins' helmet cam, grabbed a shotgun, and blasted our way out of the underground facility and through the swamp before 343 Guilty Spark swept us away on an important mission of his own. This mission will follow 343 Guilty Spark through a flood-infested library on the way to discovering that 343 isn't quite the friend that we had originally thought. The date of the game is another day in September 20th. You know, how sweaty is this Mjolnir getting by now? Like, his suit is just drenched.
Well, the Mjolnir has environmental stuff that keeps him cool. It's basically air-conditioned.
That's true.
He's fine. He's having a great old time.
I love extended lore. Just explaining things away. So good.
It's just like, He's fine. There's a built-in bathroom as well. It's great.
Well, so this mission is one of the most hated missions in all of Halo.
Of all time.
It's like this game is one of the most beloved games in Halo, but it has some hate here and there sprinkled throughout the game, and this is a big
this is the apex of hate.
Yes. So we're not gonna walk through this mission because I think that's impossible to do an audio walkthrough of this. Somehow, the author who wrote The Flood again, the book, he actually walked us through the Flood.
William C. Diaz.
Yes, he managed to do it, but we are not going to do that. So what we're going to do today is just talk about how much we love this mission, right?
Oh, is that what... I think I'm in the wrong podcast, guys. I'm gonna go.
So first of all, I want to start off with a question. Do you guys, in all your video games that you've played, do you like fast zombies or do you like slow zombies? David, do you like fast zombies or slow zombies?
It's a good question. I don't know. It depends on the game I'm playing. I guess slow doesn't really make sense anymore, and that's why they've kind of fast them up. I know the Flood are kind of a mix. So, like, you got slow and fast in there, so that probably works well. I know in extended zombie lores, there's many kinds of zombies now. So, I mean, your Resident Evil, normal style, shuffling, decayed human, it makes sense that they're slow. So, I don't know. I don't know if I have an initial preference. It's hard to say.
Krista, do you like fast zombies or do you like slow zombies?
Fast zombies are more fun to battle against, but slow zombies are more manageable.
Slow zombies, I like slow zombies because usually in the games that have slow zombies, there's a ton of them, right? And they're fairly easy to kill, and they can still overwhelm you. But in this mission, you have fast zombies and a ton of fast zombies, and they come out of everywhere. They're coming out of the walls. They're coming out of explodey. What are the are they called? Carrier forms, right? So that's the new Flood form that we didn't meet in the previous mission.
Do we want to just go over the Flood forms real quick? Because I don't think we did that in the last mission.
I thought about that too.
Okay.
Let's do that.
So we have the combat forms, which are the forms that combat you. The ones with guns that hit you in the face that are really scary, the human and elites. You have the infection forms, which are the papier-mâché little, like, buggies. You have the carrier forms, which are the splody ones, the splody boys. And then you have some other forms, but we don't actually see them in this game, so we'll get into them as they come up in the games. But those are the three forms, so when you hear us say, oh, a carrier form, oh, a combat form, you know what we're talking about.
Do you remember, I know you guys have done Flood stuff in the regular podcast Evolved, do you remember if the carrier forms are like how they're created, or are they just like different versions of, because they take over a human, right?
The carrier forms are combat forms that are at the end of their life cycle.
Oh, okay. Nice. That's what I was looking for. Perfect.
But I'm sure, in the context of Flood, when you get a certain number of mass and the Flood takes on a certain level of intelligence, they can probably actively select what type they need to be for a given situation.
That's true.
So we've seen Flood do that before in the past.
Yeah, turns out Flood's smart. We'll get into that probably in Halo 2.
Yeah, we will.
Maybe a little bit
Smarty
later
Floods.
in this one, but so we start off the mission 343. Guilty Spark swept you away in the last mission, and he now drops you into the library. Oh, the other thing we didn't talk about is 343 Guilty Spark says a bunch of cool stuff in this mission. So I don't know, Krista or David, maybe Krista, if you want to try to pull up some of those quotes, so we can go through some of those at some point.
Yep, I'll work on that.
But he wants you to use get the index. He can't physically get the index because he's not a reclaimer, which you are. And there's... Do we talk about reclaimer at this point? Jeez, I don't know what to do here. Essentially,
at this point, reclaimer is literally just what he calls
just
us.
a human, right? Like in our minds,
yeah.
It's just a human. So we're a reclaimer. John 343, our Spartan super warrior man, green guy. He can actually pick up the index, which 343 Guilty Spark can't do. So he needs your help in order to do that. So he's taking you through the halls of the library in order to obtain the index. And meanwhile, the Flood infestation is is out of control, as you probably found out for yourself. In this mission, I'm playing on normal. This mission sucks on normal. So if you've done a legendary playthrough, congratulations, you did it. I don't know how you did it. You probably had a little luck along the way. And you found... So one of the things that actually... So this is just a big maze, and we're not going to kind of go through the whole thing. But one of the things that they did add in the Anniversary Edition is they added little arrows on the floor, which they didn't have originally. So at least you get a little bit of help of where to go if you can't find the floaty 343 up in the air. David, how do you find your way through this thing? Do you...
muscle memory.
Is it?
At this stage, yeah. Yeah, it's just muscle memory. It's just knowing right here, left here. Don't go down that way, go this way. It's fine.
Do you
even just
run? I found myself trying to sprint through a lot of it. Do you run? Or
it depends on what my objective is. Like, why am I playing this mission? Because I would only be playing it for a specific purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for example, a specific achievement, maybe. Or getting to the terminal or whatever. So
maybe life was just too good this week and you just need to bring yourself down.
I just need some sadness in my life.
Yeah, there are certain parts that I'm just like, I'm just going to run past this. Or there's other parts where I'm like, okay, I have a shotgun. I'm going to try and enjoy it. And, there are parts in this mission where it stops you from progressing and you just have to hold a given location. While
which
you
are the
get
worst.
waves. So they're not great, but like they can be managed with some grenades and shotgun, which it can be fun. But ultimately, I do try and run.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of running. Do you just sprint for your life too, Krista, or do you try to take him on?
Basically. Some of the spawns on this level are literally infinite spawns. The Flood will always continually come out of these certain areas, and all you have to do is just go through them. It's mostly when you get to the upper levels. Those those very, convenient vents and stuff that Guilty Spark goes through, but then all of the Flood come through. Mm-hmm. It's usually when you're getting to, like, the stopping points where Guilty Spark's unlocking a door, but, like, as you're going through some areas, there are infinite spawns that they'll just always be Flood coming out of them. And there's no way you can kill them all, so you just have to run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't have enough ammo to sit there and kill them all. There are actually four holding spots, where at some point you're following Guilty Spark through, and then he has to unlock the door, and then you have to sit there and kill as many Flood as you can until he opens the door. So that's a lot, especially when we encounter those maybe a little bit here and there, kind of that barrier in the game, where it's like you have to do something in order to proceed. But 4 are all in this one mission, on top of just scrambling for your life, is not fun. Definitely not.
No.
Well, if you've played on easy, you start with a shotgun, so at least there's
Okay.
that.
Yeah, well, and it's not hard to find a shotgun. It's not hard
True.
to realize. I mean, if you
It's like one of the first flood you get.
do you
as
guys
a
ever pick?
shotgun.
So there's a rocket launcher in here eventually. Do you guys ever pick the rocket launcher?
Don't even talk.
No, I
Of
mean,
course.
I generally don't. I don't trust
Really?
myself with it. No. I don't find. I mean, it is effective in certain places in this map, but in terms of this game, I'm almost always rocking a pistol and shotgun combo.
Oh, pistol. So I like the AR against the infection forms. Actually cleans them up really nicely.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
I normally skip
The
those.
pistol's too much. I can't aim the pistol at all of the little buggies.
That's why you ignore
It's
them,
too much.
Krista.
I can't ignore the buggies. They must die.
But the bugs do pop, right? So if you shoot an infection
Yeah.
form, it will kill some of the other infection forms around it, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then if you kill the what do we call the carrier forms, those will pop, but then usually a few of the infection forms will survive as well.
Yeah.
And-
They'll also, I found kind of frustrating, the carrier forms, when they die, they secondary detonate grenades around them.
yeah.
So that a lot of the times I'm getting killed just by secondary detonations, because
Mhm.
a lot of these enemies are dropping grenades all over the place.
Well, the thing, I mean, we've essentially said it, but you're just spinning. You know, if you get yourself stuck in a corner, you may think you're okay, but then all of a sudden there's infection forms coming from behind you, and you're just like this mission is just constantly spinning around and trying to kill anything that moves. And it's easy to get frustrated or overwhelmed or even stuck. Like if you get stuck on the environment a little bit, and then all of a sudden you turn around and there's a carrier form right there ready to explode in your face. This, you know, I'm sure people can do it, get through this mission without dying, but it's near impossible. Like the first try, just boot it up and get through the library without dying. That's unheard of in my mind. You have to be a real good, real veteran Halo player to do that.
Oh, thank you.
Did you?
Yeah, I got
The
it.
achievement?
You
yeah,
did?
I've gotten the achievement.
Oh, but not like
Yeah.
first try, right? Like you probably had to reboot the mission
Oh.
a couple times.
Oh yeah.
Really?
The easiest way to get those achievements is to just play with a friend, and you just stay back the entire
Oh,
time and let
okay.
your friend do all the
I
work.
gotcha.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, you got to
You
do
take
some
turns.
co-ops.
Yeah, you had to co-ops for that. So solo guy
I-
here, that's not happening for solo guy right now.
Just put on another
doable.
controller.
It's
Bam,
tough.
done.
You can
my
do that
goodness. That just sounds so dishonest to me.
It's not. It's not. It's achievements. You do
Achievements,
everything
exactly.
you possibly can to
Yeah,
get the
that's true.
achievements.
All right. So anyway,
You use all your resources.
I retract my statement. If you're doing this solo by yourself, by the book, it's not easy to get through without dying. Regardless, so there is a skull and a terminal in this mission. The skull is pretty early, and I forgot to get both of them because I was just panicked and trying to get through alive. But the black eye skull, it's in one of the vents towards the beginning of the mission. Did you guys get that? David, did you get the black eye skull, or did you remember to get it?
I don't know if I got it already. I may or may not have that skull. I know where it is. It's in one of those vents, but it's like you need a grenade jump to get it, and I suck
Yeah.
at those.
Yeah.
Yep. So you got a grenade jump up into a vent and grab that bad boy, and then the terminal. And I've missed the terminal. It's on the third level, I believe, and there's like this big circular room that opens up, and you essentially kind of have to jump over some of the dividers. You know, you essentially just have to do some exploring. So you wouldn't go there normally, but if you jump over some of the dividers, you can go find the terminal kind of off in the distance. Yeah, so I forgot to get both of those. Whatever, I was just trying to get through the mission because, like I said, it is hell, not fun. What other weapons? Did you guys use any Covenant weapons during this, or did you pretty much
no.
just go?
I never
No,
use Covenant
hell no.
weapons for Flood.
Yeah, just the basics. And there are enough, which is nice. Is that the Flood that does spawn in? You know, they have a combination of both Covenant and UNSC weapons. So if you're using the AR, you should be able to find AR. You know, I usually will have to like I'll run out of one, but then I'll have to flip over to the other. In terms of ammo, I know you guys play with Bandana Skull on, but again, you know, I'm trying to play this as honest as possible. And I usually run
Lame.
out. I usually run out of ammo, and so I got to switch back and forth a little bit. But that's really not a problem. Eventually, you will find what you need. What else do you guys want to talk about? I mean, it's like, so 343 is taking you through. Should we get to to the end of the mission already? I mean, you go up a couple of lifts, and you go around and you hold a couple areas.
I don't want to ride the elevator.
Well, yeah. Why don't we talk about just kind of the end? Or no, what? How about we pause here and let's listen to what 343 Guilty Spark has to say along the way, because he says a lot of interesting things.
This is some
lore-wise.
really important stuff.
And it's
about the only redeeming quality of this mission is 343's antics. And
Yeah.
stuff he kind of says you revealed at such an early stage in the Halo lore so much crazy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. It's not
Yeah.
early. They were seeding that into the story.
Well, and that's what I want to know is how when they were writing this, did they just kind of drop some things out there to say, okay, this would be cool if he says something like this, and then because 343 is essentially kind of had to figure out a lot of this lore, how that all fits together down the road. I wonder if they then kind of formulated what the lore was based off of kind of these initial musings, or did they actually kind of have that structure set in place? Do you guys know anything about kind of? I mean, it's been
It's a mix of both. I mean, there was the Halo Bible. There's a lot in there, and there's a lot that even just is not known now to us that they just have, and it's like they just seed whatever they want. But like at some level, you imagine 10 years later, there's stuff there that they're just like, not interested in. Do you know what I mean? Or just like they have to add to. They're just rolling with what was put before. Do you know? So.
I was having a conversation with someone online, and they mentioned that Bungie did Halo 1, 2, and 3, 2001 through 2007, and then they didn't touch the mainline Halo series after that, because then they did ODST, and then which we'll cover, which we consider mainline, but it's kind of a side story, and then they did Reach after that, and so they handed over the keys. What was it, 2010, and so. Really, they only had that 6-year chunk, those 3 games, to build that initial lore. So they probably had some stuff figured out, but not everything. Essentially, 343 has now owned Master Chief longer than Bungie did, which is interesting to think about.
That is interesting.
Well, and one of the one of the first things 343 started on is one of the first things 343 released was the Forerunner novels in the Kilo 5 trilogy, which really started to flesh out some of the questions that all of us extended lore people had. So,
and the terminals tie in with that quite a bit with those books.
Yes, very much so.
So what did let's go through what 343 says along the way.
Okay. So I just looked up 343 quotes the library. So here are the first couple ones. Doody doody doo doo doo. Tee hee 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 hee. Hua hua hoo hum. And I am a genius. He he.
Those are one of the reasons that I actually love Guilty Spark, because of those specific quotes.
It's so funny. Okay, so here are some of the serious ones. You want me to just read a couple?
Yeah, read a few.
You can see the body has been transformed by the genetic restructuring of the flood infection. The small creatures carry spores that cause a host to mutate. The mutated host then produces spores that can cause that can pass the flood to others. It is an insidious and elegant. As long as the host remains, the flood is ever present. So that's basically explaining how someone gets infected, is basically what he explains there. Gives us some good tidbits. These sentinels will supplement your combat system, but I suggest you upgrade to at least a Class 12 combat skin. Your current model only scans as a Class 2, which is ill-suited for this kind of work.
Which is awesome. I always like that quote. Just to know,
which is also super crazy because...
what does Class 12 look like if you're only got 2? Like, I want to know that.
And also the Mjolnir armor is the highest ranking armor that humanity has at this point. So it's like, you're just a Class 2. You're a 2 out of 12, buddy.
I don't know if you're going to get to
my
it,
level.
but he also says...
Is it 2 out of 12? Because he says at least 12, right? So you imagine there's a
Yeah.
rankings above that.
That's true. The other thing that he says that is good is he's like, I'm surprised you brought such weak equipment or
Ineffective
Yeah.
weapons to combat the flood.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good jab as well. Any other good ones?
Why naturally the flood is simply too dangerous to release, the mass sterilization protocols may again need to be enacted. Of course, samples were kept here after the last catastrophic outbreak for study. It seems that decision may have been an error. Which basically explains, like,
Why
exactly what happened in the last couple days of the Forerunners.
Mm-hmm.
That it was the flood that caused this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's some of the really important ones. He says a lot of other cool stuff, so if you go through the mission, always have subtitles on.
For sure.
Keep your subtitles on, because sometimes you're far ahead of him, or he's far ahead of you, so you can't actually hear him audioly, but it'll still pop the subtitles for you to read.
Do you guys usually go through those tunnels? I know the last tunnel you actually have to go through, but there's those long, you go down and under in those long corridors. Do you guys go down those, or do you stay up top usually the whole time? David, what do you do?
I thought you have to go down them.
Yeah, I thought you had to go down
All of them?
There's like 2.
Not all of the ones that the arrows point to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
There's only
went through
2.
them all, and I just discovered, I think, the very last one you have to go through. But I think maybe the first one, like the first 1 or 2, maybe that's how it is that they're kind of teaching you, okay, here's a kind of another route to go through. But maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe you do have to actually go through those. I could be mistaken. But I always go through the tunnels because I think they're fun. And then, of course, there's always like a flood that jumps down at the very at the very end.
It's like, bah!
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's easy to get blown up in those if you're too aggressive, which is usually the case when I'm playing.
Shotgun, man.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about the OG graphics?
Yeah, you do that. You play. I didn't do it. I didn't switch over at all. So
I wanted to be extra angry for this episode, so I played mostly on the original graphics, but I switched to see where the fuck I was going because holy shit. Like, this is what the game designers thought. They're like, how about we make a level where there's flood everywhere and we're gonna make it as dark as fucking possible. So dark that you can't see shit. We're also gonna make this place like, have you seen the movie The Labyrinth? That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make this place a huge labyrinth. You're not gonna know where the hell you're going. There's gonna be 0 cues so that you know where you're going. It's gonna be dark as hell, and they're just gonna wander there for fucking 3 hours, not knowing where they're going. It's gonna be the best level we've ever created.
Yay.
That is... It's awful.
I did find
It's
myself
so
looking
bad.
for, like, usually, in modern games, there's like a cue, like on screen
Like a light or
somewhere, or
something.
like a beacon or whatever they call it, a waypoint, I guess, where it's like, go here. And even if it's like
There
behind
is
a door or
nothing.
something, it's like, okay, well, at least I know this is the direction I need to go, but that's not the case in this mission. Nope.
There's not even like... Because some of the older games didn't have waypoints and stuff, but they had like lights to cue you where to go. Like the places you shouldn't go would be darker than the places you should go. They didn't do that at all. Everything's the exact same lighting. And also with the infinite flood spawns, you can't do if enemies are here, I'm going the right way.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's just like, why?
And
Why would you do this?
This mission doesn't really teach you much either. I mean, it gives
No.
you the carrier forms, so I guess it teaches you about those, and then it's just a whole lot of the same.
Confusion and sadness.
It does drop the lore in, so maybe it uses its opportunity, its sameness, to tell you some more about what the Halo universe itself with 343. But other than that, oof, yeah. Like I said at the beginning, hate is a strong word, but there's a lot of hate around this mission specifically.
Oh my god, the community hates it. It's amazing. I love it.
But the way that it ends is great, I think.
Yeah, you get the magical key thingy mabob, and then he immediately takes it from you.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Like, yoink, I'll be
the thing
taking
we didn't
that.
mention, sorry, is that you get the sentinels along the way. So a few times throughout, you get some buddies that help you out, but usually the flood just jumps up there and takes them out pretty quickly.
Wax them.
Yeah, they're very useless for anti-flood.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like either distractions or bullet sponges. Is the only really thing to think about.
Yeah.
But they die super easy.
Yeah, it's fun to see them pop up, but yeah, they're not super helpful. So yeah, sorry, Krista, I cut you off. The end of the mission, essentially, you get the index, and then 343 just steals it from you right away.
He's like, "Oh, I'll be taking that. Thank you."
And then we get Cortana to pop back up. Then we have a fun conversation between those two, because you do, as a player, you're like, okay, I've seen, even if you're watching the terminals, you're not sure what to expect from 343. He's kind of going a little wacko, but when he presents himself in the game, he's like, I need your help, and then you're following him. You kind of assume that maybe he actually is trying to help with your situation, but that's not so much the case. Cortana knows more. David, do you want to take us through kind of this final?
Isn't that technically the start of the next mission?
Is it the start?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the start of the next mission.
Oh,
because
it
it gives you to a loading screen and says 2 betrayals, and then it switches over.
Oh man, see, I got confused. I'm getting ahead of myself. All right. Well, I guess we'll address that in the next episode. Anything else you guys want to cover then, or
just the terminal already?
Just the terminal. Yeah, let's cover terminal. Then we'll do community, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah.
Krista, what happened in the terminal?
This terminal's a little interesting. It's not my favorite. It's definitely not my favorite, but it basically goes over Guilty Spark. It does, yeah. It confirms a couple things. It confirms, one, that Guilty Spark is completely rampant.
Oh, yeah.
It gives you he blinks into a red state as he's going rampant, and you can see him getting more and more flustered. What really is happening is that he is an intelligent AI, and like any other AI, it needs something to do. It needs something to occupy itself, and it is completely alone with nothing to do. And I think that's the big driving force behind his crazy rampancy-ness.
Mm-hmm.
Is just being left there with nothing to do. He kind of thinks about what the Forerunners should have done. Mr. Hindsight here is like, man, they should have given us there should be 2 monitors to every Halo. They should give us some stuff to do as we're waiting for the galaxy to be reseeded and for intelligent life or reclaimers to finally come up and try to, take over and find these installations. But he's got absolutely nothing to do. He's like, I'm bored.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bored. I'm going crazy. This isn't fun. I'm losing myself.
Losing it.
I want to go on vacation, but I can't.
Nope.
Yeah.
The time spans that he talks about throughout all of these is interesting. He's like, I can go over here for like a couple hundred years. Well, that wouldn't be a big deal, would it? He's been there for a long time.
Oh, a really long time. Hundreds of thousands of years. Probably not hundreds, but thousands. Many thousands. Tens of thousands.
Mm-hmm.
He also starts talking about the librarian.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
Who... We have no idea who that is.
Mm-mm.
Just by taking some context clues, you can kind of assume that she is one of the really important Forerunners who kind of structured all this and put it all together. Because he says, why did the librarian not see this happening? That our loneliness would cause us to go absolutely crazy, and there'd be nothing for us to do. But he also thinks, hey, maybe we only have a fragment of her brilliance left to us. So I mean, he obviously knows there's fragments of her around. This kind of leads to something that happens later in the series concerning the librarian that we can't really go into right now, but this is the first time we've really heard. It's funny that he talks about the librarian on the library mission.
Yeah, right.
But she's a very important Forerunner character that we'll see a lot more of later in the games when it comes to Forerunner stuff. So keep her in mind, definitely.
Yeah, this being the terminal, I don't know if they really had the librarian sorted out in this original game. Maybe they had some being, but they don't really mention her in the normal game.
Well, she's in Halo 3.
Right, but in the Halo
3 terminals.
She's in Halo 3 terminals. So knowing that, then they
these terminals were written after that,
right,
obviously.
Exactly. All right. Should we do anything else, or should we do some community stuff?
Let's do some community stuff, because that was my favorite part of this week.
So I posted the question in Facebook. Krista then usually copies that over in the Twitter sphere. We just wanted 5 words to describe the library, and we got some real interesting responses. We actually got the most responses out of anything.
The most responses.
Yeah.
Ever. We have like 100 responses on Twitter, so we won't be able to get through all of them. But go ahead and check out our Twitter at Podcast Evolved. It is so much fun to scroll through that. There are a lot of really funny responses in there.
Yeah, it gets intense. So David's going to pick his favorite from Facebook, and Krista's going to pick her favorite from Twitter. Let's go do Facebook first.
Yeah, so in the Facebook, the first one I kind of said it'd be Joshua Morrison just wrote, there are no books. So that's true. The library, there's no books. Jesse White very eloquently put, a monotonous cacophony of flood.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it is. What the fuck did I just do? Ken Hall, it's correct. No, there's a lot of people just saying no. Just hell no. It's just about this mission in general, and got a pretty good kind of picture meme of just flood everywhere, and the Arbiter in Chief just looking pretty disheartened on the whole situation. Timothy Welsh put it well. He says, does this shit ever end? And haven't they been here before? And there's a lot of negative but fun, I think, jabs at just how people just don't like this mission. People just really don't like this mission.
Yeah.
Last one.
Nope.
Cody
no one
Macbeck. I hate space fungus. You got to highlight that too.
Yeah, it gives, I figured 5 words give people a creative outlet to get out their hate, as we described at the beginning of the episode. What'd Twitter say?
So Twitter said, at Oreo says, a maze of flood and bullshit. At Tessa Radical 17 says, teleport me closer next time.
Yeah, right.
yeah,
I thought about that. Mm-hmm.
At Sean underscore Greer says, help me, I'm really lost. At Keys EG says, why am I playing this?
Mm-hmm.
At J Avicido says, oh great, more of them.
That's good.
That's true.
At Dest544 says, the trail of fungus tears. At Lafici31 says, all that for a glow stick?
Yeah, right.
At Bad at Halo says, not as bad as Cortana.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, right.
There's going to be a debate there. When we get there, there's going to be a debate. At Killer Kitties says, how do they have rockets? And finally, Eric Doom says, reloads,
Yes.
So, a lot of amazing responses.
Very good. Very good.
Really just illustrating so eloquently exactly what this mission is.
And, we didn't touch on the music, but the music pretty much reflects what everybody's been saying. It causes stress along the way. And
half of it's like beep boop music, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
true.
true.
It's like spacey beep boop music, and then it goes into really, really, like when he stops and there's a firefight, then it goes into the really stressful, like, bum, 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 bum. And then the creepy, like, crawly kind of effect that plucking strings has.
Yep.
That string plucking effect is the worst. Holy shit. It makes me crawl, my skin crawl every single time. I'm like, oh, no, make it stop. Please, Marty, stop.
Well, we did it.
Ugh.
We made it. We made it through.
We made it through. Oh my god. We still have a lot more to go through, though.
We do. I mean, the next couple of missions aren't short either. So we're almost there. What is this? Mission 7? We got 10 to go. So 3 more.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
much.
It doesn't get any easier from here.
No.
2 betrayals, keys, and the maw. But I like them. I mean, I like these run of 3 missions.
Mm-hmm. And we start to fight all 2, I guess, factions at the same time. So that gets
which
to be
is
interesting.
always super fun.
Mm-hmm. And they fight each other, which is great.
There's a 3rd faction in there too. There's some sentinels that you fight.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yep, you're right. Oh boy, we're in for it. All right, that'll do it. That'll do it for our debriefing of the library from Halo Combat Evolved. On the next episode,
Serenity now. Everybody take deep breaths.
Ooh, I know. Actually, I
gotta
got a
calm
knot
down.
in my stomach right now. Oof. On the next episode, we'll be covering Two Betrayals, which I hinted at earlier in this episode. Send us your thoughts at podcastevolved@gmail.com or drop us a tweet at podcastevolved on Twitter. Until next time, evolved.
Evolved.
Evolved.